Welcome to St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. This college is affiliated to Maharshi Dayanand University, Rohtak, and approved by All India Council for Technical Education. This video lecture is a part of series developed for online classes. Hello everyone, my name is Ashish Tripathi and I am working as an assistant professor at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management since 2015. My areas of interest are data analysis and data visualization, which are recommended to be a data scientist. Logical Organization of Computer. It is a course in Maharshi Dayanand University for the BCA second semester. This course comprises of the flip-flops, registers, counters and memory circuits. So let's study about this course from the unit 1. In this video lesson, we will start from unit 4 and we will study about the registers, data transfer and DMA. Registers. Registers are the special memory units used to hold information on a temporary basis as the instructions are interpreted and executed by the CPU. Registers are a part of CPU and are not in the main memory. The length of a register, sometimes called its word size, equals the number of bits it can store. Some of the registers you are going to study in unit 4 are program counter register, that is PC, and incrementing counter that keeps track of the memory address of the instruction that is to be executed next, or in other words holds the address of the instruction to be executed next. Memory address register MAR. It holds the address of the memory block to be read from or written to. Memory data register MDR. It is a two-way register that holds data fetched from the memory or data waiting to be stored in the memory. This is also known as the memory buffer register MBR. Instruction register IR. It is a temporary holding ground for the instruction that has just been fetched from the memory. So whenever you fetch an instruction from the memory, it is kept in the instruction register, and the next instruction to be executed is kept in the program counter. The memory address register holds the address of the memory from where you have to read and write, and the memory data register holds the data temporary, that is as a buffer. Control unit. It decodes the program instruction in the IR, selecting the machine resources such as the data source register and a particular arithmetic operation. It coordinates activation of those resources. Arithmetic logic unit ALU. It performs the mathematical and logical operations. Accumulator register AC. It holds data to be operated upon, intermediate result and the final result. Timing. The timing of all the registers in a computer is controlled by a master clock generator. These clock pulses do not change the state of a register until enable control signal is not given by the CPU. There are two types of control organization. Likewise, hardware control and microprogram control. In the hardware control, the control logic is implemented with gates, flip-flops, decoders, as we have already discussed in the previous units. It has an advantage that it can be optimized to produce a fast mode of operation, and for any change, wiring among the component is changed. So in the hardware control, the output depends upon the hardware, that is the hardware which have been used. In the microprogram control, the control information is stored in a control memory which initiates the required sequence of micro operations. For any change, the microprogram in the control memory is updated. So in the microprogram control, as we have seen in the latest computers, that all the instructions are given in the form of a program to the computer, and if you want to change the instruction, then only the program is going to change. No change is in the hardware. So this is easy to implement. In this diagram, you can see that the various input-output devices are attached to the CPU. Inside the CPU, there is a collection or stack of the registers, one after the other, which takes the data or write the data into the input-output devices. After taking the data from the I/O devices, it moves the data to the cache memory and finally to the RAM for the CPU to handle. So the control unit has the registers like program control register, instruction register, memory address register, memory buffer register or memory data register, input output register, and some general purpose register. Inside the ALU, you have the main register, that is known as the accumulator register, which performs the calculation. Instead of that, we have some general purpose register which are used for temporary storage of the data. Data transfer. Computer instructions can be classified into three categories, that is data transfer instruction, data manipulation instructions, and program control instructions. Data transfer instructions moves the data from one place to another without changing the data content. Example, the transfer between the memory and the processor register. Suppose we want to transfer or we want to copy a file from C drive to D drive, then this should be done with the help of data transfer instruction. Data manipulation instruction. It performs the operations on the data and provides the computational capabilities for the computer. These are divided into three basic types: arithmetic instruction, logical and bit manipulation instruction, and shift instruction. So whenever we want to perform a calculation, suppose we want to add two numbers, we want to multiply two numbers, then this can be done with the help of data manipulation instruction. The last we have program control instruction. It specifies the conditions for altering the content of the program counter. It helps in branching of the control. That is, it helps in the flow of a program. Suppose we want to perform addition, then we want to perform subtraction, then multiplication, then division, then it can be done with the help of program control instruction, as it will flow the instruction from the PC register to the next instruction in the program. Modes of transfer. There are basically three types of modes of transfer for the data. The first is programmed input output, second is interrupt initiated input output, and the third is direct memory access or DMA. In the programmed input output, each data item transfer is initiated by the instruction in the program. It requires constant monitoring of the peripheral by the CPU. Once a data transfer is initiated, the CPU is required to monitor the interface to see when a transfer can be made. It keeps the processor busy in the program loops. For example, if we want to perform input-output inside a C program or a C++ program, then that is handled by the programmed input-output mode. In this, the CPU itself is responsible for this transfer. Hence, it will make the CPU busy with this input-output, and hence it will reduce the performance. Second transfer is interrupt initiated input output. In this, It issues an interrupt request signal when the data are available from the device. In the meantime, CPU can execute another program. The interface monitors the device. When a device is ready to send the data, interface generates an interrupt request. The CPU stops processing the task and branch to service the input-output transfer. There are two methods for interrupt: vectored interrupt and non-vectored interrupt. In a non-vectored interrupt, the branch address is assigned to a fixed location in a memory. In the vectored interrupt, the source that interrupts supplies the branch information to the computer. This information is called the interrupt vector. So, in the interrupt initiated input-output, what we are going to see that when a data transfer is being initiated, then the device is attached to an interface. When the data is in the device, then the interface will pass an interrupt signal to the CPU, alarming the CPU that yes, now the data is ready to be read or write. Then the CPU take the control from the normal execution to the input-output execution. It performs the input-output and then again goes back to the normal execution. In this way, the CPU is kept idle, or you can say the CPU is kept busy in some other task. Hence, it increases the performance. There are two types of interrupt. One is the vectored interrupt, the other is a non-vectored interrupt. In the non-vectored interrupt, you have a fixed interrupt which is going to execute the input output. But in a vectored interrupt, there is a series of interruptions in which the starting address is passed to the CPU and then it follows one after the other. Direct memory access, DMA. In this, the interface transfers the data in and out of the memory unit through the memory bus. The CPU supplies the starting address and the number of words to the interface. When transfer is made, DMA requests memory cycles through the memory bus. When request is granted by the memory controller, the DMA transfers the data directly into the memory. So in the DMA, you can see that CPU handles all the transfer execution instruction to the device known as the DMA. It serves the starting address to the DMA and then it will say that yes, DMA, you are responsible for all the input-output transfer. When the input-output transfer is being done by the DMA, it intimates the CPU that yes, the transfer has been done and now you can further execute the instruction. So it is a proper mode of transfer in which the performance is greatly high and CPU is kept busy in executing the normal workflows. DMA transfer. There are two ways to transfer in the DMA. One is the cycle stealing and the other is the burst mode. In the cycle stealing, it is used when the quantity of data to be sent is small. The word stealing means two things. First, it involves taking away something without the knowledge of the owner, and second, it involves replacing the knowledge without owner awareness. Hence, in the cycle stealing, DMA steals the bus cycle without the knowledge of the CPU and gives back the buses before the CPU looks for the buses for its own use. It transfers one word at a time and needs complex logic to do so. Hence, this type of cycle stealing transfer is not used. So in the cycle stealing, what the DMA does? The DMA steals some of the cycles from the CPU and it does the transfer of few bytes or few blocks of data chunks. After the transfer has been done, it returns the buses to the CPU. Hence, CPU is not aware that DMA has taken its buses for some use. This type of mode transfer is not legalized and is not used. In the burst mode, the DMA controller requests the control of the buses by sending the hold signal. If the CPU decides that the buses should be released to the DMA controller without losing speed of execution, then it ends a hold acknowledge signal to the DMA controller. After this exchange of data took place, After complete transfer, the DMA controller hands over the buses to the CPU. If the CPU requires the buses in the middle of the transaction, it can change the buses. Hence, it is used for when a large data is to be transferred. So in the burst mode, what the DMA does? DMA first requests the transfer of buses from the CPU. If the CPU grants this transfer, then the buses are allotted to the DMA, and after allotment, the DMA does the transfer of the data. When the data exchange has happened, then DMA hand over the buses back to the CPU. While a CPU can take back the buses from the DMA in the middle of the transfer also, if it required to do so. In this diagram, you can see that the DMA controller is attached to the input-output peripheral device. The DMA controller also has some buses related to read, write, address and data, which goes to the CPU as well as the memory. Whenever CPU wants the data to be read or written to the input-output peripheral device, then it issues a request to the DMA. The DMA register is being selected by the CPU, that is the DS. It also selects the mode of operation from the register select, that is RS. After that, the DMA issue a bus request, that is BR signal to the CPU. The CPU grants the buses by signaling at BG to 1. Hence, after being granted the buses, the DMA controller starts the exchange of data from the input-output device. It acknowledges the data after the transfer has been done and then store the data at the given address by the CPU in the memory. It performs the read and write operation in the memory directly without the awareness of the CPU. After the exchange has been done, the DMA sends the interrupt signal to the CPU that the transfer has been done successfully, and now the CPU just relinquish the buses from the DMA and start its normal mode of operation. DMA controller. It is an interface to communicate with the CPU and the input-output device. The unit communicates with the CPU via the data bus and control lines. The registers in the DMA are selected by the CPU through the address bus by enabling the DS, that is the DMA select, and RS, that is the register select inputs. The RD, that is read, and WR, that is write inputs are bidirectional, that is it can take the data from the CPU as well as from the DMA. When the BG, that is the bus grant input, is 0, the CPU can communicate with the DMA registers through data bus to read from or write to the DMA register. But when the BG is equal to 1, the CPU has relinquished the buses and DMA can communicate directly with the memory by specifying an address in the address bus and activating the read-write control. The DMA communicates with the external peripheral device through the DMA request and DMA acknowledge lines by using the handshaking procedure. The DMA is first initialized by the CPU, and after that the DMA starts and continues to transfer the data between the memory and the peripheral unit until an entire block is transferred. The CPU initializes the DMA by sending the following information: the starting address of the memory block, the word count, control to specify the transfer mode such as read or the write, and signal to start the DMA transfer. The data transfer rate and the memory transfer rate is higher in the DMA than the CPU. Hence, DMA has priority over the CPU when both request for memory transfer. So, whenever there is a need to transfer the data between the input-output device and the memory, it can be either done by the CPU itself or by the DMA. To keep up the performance, the CPU hand over the starting address, the word count, the mode of transfer, that is read and write, and the signal to start the data transfer to the DMA device. so that the DMA keeps in the exchange of the transfer and the CPU can be utilized for some other work. The priority of the data transfer in the DMA is higher than the CPU, hence DMA is preferred mode of transfer for data. In the diagram you can see that the DMA controller has three registers: address register, word count register and the control register. The address register contains an address to specify the location in the memory. The address bits go into the address bus buffer. The address register is incremented after each word is transferred to the memory. So address register basically holds the starting address from where the memory is to be read or from to where the memory is to be written. It is being supplied by the CPU initially, and after each exchange of the word, the DMA increments its address register. Word count register contains total number of words to be transferred. It is decremented after each word transfer and tested for a zero. So how many words to transfer from the input output device? This is being set by the CPU to the DMA in the word register count. It is decremented each time the word has been read from the memory or has been written to the memory. The control register specifies the mode of transfer, that is whether DMA is used to read from the memory or DMA is used to write to the memory. This we come to end of the today's video. Hope you have learned about the DMA transfer and various modes of transfer. Here are some questions based on the today's session, that what are registers, and explain different types of register like the program counter register, IR register, MDR register, etc. You can also write down the data transfer and various modes of data transfer. You can briefly explain the working of the DMA controller as in the exchange of data. Hope you have enjoyed today's video lesson and you have learned about the various registers supplied in the CPU, the various modes of transfer and especially the DMA transfer of data. With this we come to end of this lesson. We will meet in the next video lecture. Till then, goodbye and take care.